Greetings, Andrew. This is Bill Rau, and this is your wood. And normally we shoot extensive still photographs and communicate via email with customers, but we've been doing a little bit of video and think that this will be a much better approach to be able to show people in almost real time some of the issues that we see that may not be apparent to the average owner. And so with that in mind, I wanted to go over the 11 pieces that we have here. These have not been stripped. They are as you sent them, except for removing the hardware on your glove box. There are some issues here that need to be addressed. In general, the wood has gotten quite light, which is fine, and we're going to refinish it. What's unusual about the wood is that the top of the rails, these for the doors and this area for the short rear quarter caps, is mahogany and not traditional American walnut. Starting with the two rear quarter caps, they show typical aging, some cracking along here. I don't think these will be an issue beyond refinishing, and that's true of the right rear passenger. Doesn't look like it'll be an issue. As we get into the dash, similar type thing. There's a small repair necessary here, and a piece that is off and needs to be re-glued. But I don't see any veneer problems, at least at this point. The dash, similarly, has some cracking in it, but I think that's fairly typical. The only thing I observed with the dash is the fact that it's got a bit of a cup to it, which should straighten out once it's installed. But as you can see, it has kind of a belly to it. The rear ashtray surrounds. Now these have a little bit more concern. This kind of cloudy area right here indicates that the finish has been lifted, probably damaged with some water. This is a common case where you do see that. There's a large crack here, which is a result of movement at the veneer level. You can see this lift here, all along the side here and along here. This veneer is all lifted, and that's this crossband of paldeo leading into the light colored stringing, which is boxwood, and then into the darker walnut burl. But there's obvious problem here. This crossband of the paldeo will need to be replaced. At this point, it's hard to tell, or almost impossible to tell, how much more damage there is. I suspect more in this area where that lift is. But at this point, I would say that it's going to be necessary to remove and replace this, clean it, and glue down new paldeo. It may go further, including the boxwood and possibly the burl. Same thing's true with this one. Again, I think maybe this car in its history since 1991 has seen a little bit of water and moisture, and therefore that's what's caused this main crack right here in the veneer and separation between the finish and the veneer. Those are the two ashtrays. This will become more apparent once it's been stripped as to how deep the veneer problem is. Center console has usually not an exposure to moisture, but in this case it's got a certain flake. Of course, being a convertible, you could have moisture over a period of 20 years. Flake in the crossband also. Even though this was taped down with cellophane tape, the thing is you've got to remove what's loose and reposition fresh veneer and glue. And you see two major cracks here, and again, I think this is a case where the veneer is cracked and it's leading to the crack of the finish. The other console piece has similar problems. This crack here, this parallel crack, is very similar to this crack on this piece. And it's a fairly deep crack, which leads me to think that the veneer itself is cracked. You see a little bit of color right here, the darkening. I think there was some touch-up done by the factory. There's a little bit of lifting in this corner. Cracking, that telltale sign of cloudiness, which indicates that possibly it had some water damage also. These are things that, of course, over the phone one cannot tell. A refinishing cost is one thing, a repair, re-veneer is another. The glove box, it's pretty much okay. It's got a major crack through here and another major crack through here. Those are things that will disappear. Probably, again, the veneer cracked, leading to the cracking in the finish. And that's one reason why the epoxy treatment that I outlined in the email is valuable, because under vacuum and heat, we apply epoxy that penetrates once it's stripped, it penetrates the veneer, it saturates it with an adhesive, and it also helps to reestablish any loose bonding to the substrate beneath. Your passenger side door seems fine as far as veneer and cracks. Got a crack here. I don't see anything significant about it. It's got the typical chipping of finish on top of the door cap, which is of no consequence other than refinishing. However, your driver's side door is a little peculiar. And that is, again, going back to the design of the veneering on all these pieces, they start with walnut burl, they go to an inlay of boxwood as an accent, a stringing, and then outside is a crossband of paldeo. This driver's side door tells a different story. You can see what is boxwood, this linear line that runs across here. But if you look closely, it changes character right about here, going to the rear of the door. It changes color, it changes width, and it changes properties up to about here. From here to here, this material is not boxwood. It's either been painted in or filled in. And at the front of the door, a similar type thing. Boxwood continues here, stops about here, and then we start with this whiter, different colored material, which looks like some kind of wood filler to take the place of what should have been boxwood stringing. So that leads, the question is, what's going to happen when we strip this? We know this isn't wood, and we have to examine this with the old finish removed to get a better idea of what the challenges are in replacing this filler or paint with real boxwood. So that gives you, I hope, a much better understanding of your wood than you had before, and better than merely still photographs could give you. I'll send you an email with some close-up photos showing the various problems that are the wood. These are not insurmountable, they're not huge, but nonetheless they are additional repairs additional to the cost of the finishing.